Okay, we will reconvene the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance and a closed session report. Please stand right now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, for a brief moment of silence, I want us all to think about what holidays we have just passed. Our Day of Independence, our Memorial Day, and what's coming up, our Veterans Day. All of these are days which bring to mind how much we fight to keep our freedoms and how much it has cost us. And we are so lucky here in the United States to have the freedom that we enjoy. And thanks to all the men and women who have fought to maintain that for us. Go red, white, and blue. That's all I've got to say. Ta-da. Okay, we will now have the closed session report by the clerk of the board.
5.1, no reportable action taken regarding public employee performance evaluation, superintendent. 5.2, no reportable action taken regarding negotiations. 5.3, no reportable action taken regarding personnel. 5.4, the Board of Trustees, by a vote of 5-0, approve the settlement agreement in OAH case number 2021020849, resolving all issues in the student's due process complaint by reimbursing independent educational evaluations and compensatory services and providing other reimbursements in the amount of $9,500. 5.5, the Board of Trustees, by a vote of 5-0, approved the settlement agreement in OAH case number 2021040126, resolving all issues in the district's due process complaint by amending students' IEP, conducting assessment, providing compensatory education, and providing reimbursement in the amount of $3,250. 5.6, the Board of Trustees, by a vote of 5-0, approved the settlement agreement in OAH case number 2021040660, resolving all issues in students' due process complaint by amending students' IEP, funding an independent behavior assessment, providing compensatory education, and providing reimbursement in the amount of $7,500.
Thank you. Now I'd like to go ahead and recognize some of the people in our audience. We have Christy Bettendorf here this evening representing ASTA. You're on the executive board, I believe. And we have Adrian Prieto representing AFSCME. Now, I would like to go to the podium and make a special recognition we have tonight. I would like to speak this evening about our California Classified Employee of the Year National Award. Adrian Prieto, would you please come up while I talk about you, Adrian, and how great you are? All right. Now, Mr. Prieto was selected as the Orange County Classified School Employee of the Year for 2021. He's representing the skilled trades category, and his nomination was sent to the state. Adrian was named 2021 California Classified School Employee of the Year, National Award nominee under the Skilled Trades Services category by the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurman. Adrian is an HVAC technician and has been with the district for over 25 years. He is directly responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of all our HVAC units at 4 school sites. That's a total of more than 380 units. Mr. Prieto is not only a dedicated classified employee, he is also a committed member of the volunteer who volunteers his time to assist with the distribution of food packages to those in need. Adrian also donated money towards the purchase of masks for community members who could not afford them. Additionally, Adrian has led a fundraising effort in order to assist a co-worker with the burial costs of a family member. The Board of Trustees celebrates Adrian Prieto for his achievement of being named 2021 California Classified Employee of the Year National Award nominee. All right.
I'd like to say thank you for the recognition. The board and the cabinet, thank you very much for this evening. I really appreciate it. My bosses that I work under, they recognize all the work that we do. And thank you very much for everything you guys are doing for us. Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Would the board come down so we can take
Yes.
a picture as I hand him his certificate?
We're gonna go outside.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Keep one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Yeah.
You can tell by the eyes. You're the master.
Just think, you're gonna be the only person. Maybe you're a tic-tac. Amazing, getting recognized like that for the state.
Okay, we'll move on to reports now. And Adrian, do you have a report for AFSCME? Okay, all right. Christy Bettendorf, do you have a report for ASTA? All right, thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Matsuda, and Cabinet, and a special happy birthday to Trustee Randall Trejo. ASTA President Grant Schuster is out of town, so I will be giving the ASTA report. I am Christy Bettendorf, member of the ASTA Executive Board and member of the ASTA bargaining team. I teach English and film at Kennedy and CVA. I'm also a proud graduate of Kennedy, K-High for life. I am here tonight to speak about only one important subject as we're preparing for the return of all of our students for the new school year, and that is the safety of our students, staff, and community. From the beginning of the pandemic, we have been at the table working with the district to determine safety guidelines and procedures to create a safe working environment for staff and students. It has been wonderful and encouraging to see so many staff members and students back on campus for summer school, athletics, and other enrichment opportunities. The guidelines and procedures have provided many opportunities since last spring for teachers and students to be on campuses together and engage in learning. ASTA looks forward to continued collaboration for the length of the COVID pandemic to ensure safety for all students, staff, and community members. ASTA is completely in support of the state requirement for all students and employees to remain masked during this time. Concern for the Delta variant is particularly important for schools as it has affected our younger population, including unvaccinated children. We have put the health and safety of our children, community, and employees first, and there is no reason to stop that now. Our bargaining team and teacher input group will continue to work with the board and the cabinet to ensure the safety of our community and to ensure our students are delivered the best education possible. We are looking forward to celebrating our full return to schools next month and all that we will be able to provide to our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Do we have anyone from the PTA? No, okay. Don't see anybody else with any other groups. Okay, moving on then to public comments. This is the open session items. This is the opportunity for public comments to occur at the beginning of each agenda item and at this time for items not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Trustees should have completed a speaker request form, which is available on the back table. Do we have any requests to speak? None? I don't believe so. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our presentations, and Dr. Freed will give us a presentation on reopening of schools.
Right. Thank you, Board President Piercy, and good evening, everyone. It is great to be with all of you tonight. Again, good evening, Board President Piercy, members of our board, cabinet, and to our guests, not only here in person, but those who may be watching via our live stream. Tonight, gives me great pleasure, both Dr. Nguyen and I will be presenting on our opening of schools coming for the 21-22 school year. It will be a succinct presentation, but an important one nonetheless. So I look forward to sharing some of these important updates with all of you. All right. First of all, with our opening of schools, I do want to start off as we transitioned back from being completely virtual this past school year. We did kick off with a rigorous summer programs offering. As promised at our last board meeting, I want to share just a quick update in terms of what we did over the course of our summer. This summer we did offer credit recovery, which is what we would traditionally offer. We offered an extended school year with our special ed students. Just so you know, with our special ed, our students with an IEP, we had 548 total students take advantage of our ESY. 230 were at Loera's campus, 148 students at Savannah's campus, and 170 at Hope School. We had 4,700 students in total take advantage of summer programs. This does not count high school athletics. As you know, high school athletics is typically year-round. That has been going on since the spring, and they continued into the summer. We also had enrichment activities. This is something that we extended this year with the one-time funds that we received both at the high schools and the junior high schools. We had students come to campus just because they wanted to be on campus, they wanted to connect with other students, they wanted to connect with staff, and they wanted to do things that were fun-spirited. Sometimes they were games and fitness-oriented, sometimes they were things connected to content, and sometimes the courses were connected to things not connected to content, but hobbies, arts and crafts, things of that nature. We also had athletics, as you know, we're gearing up, believe it or not, for our fall season of sports. So a lot of our athletic teams across the high schools have been participating. But we also had a unique experience this summer where we brought junior high intramurals to our junior high campus. As you know, typically we have a robust and rigorous intramural program throughout the year. But this year our junior highs were not able to do intramural sports with the result of the pandemic. So this summer we brought intramurals back to our schools, and our junior highs participated with some athletic competitions at the junior highs, which was exciting. We also have our Summer Arts Academy, which was thriving, and as some of you, I think, attended last week, the Summer Arts Academy show, just amazing talent in our district. Our teachers and our students just do tremendous work, and we're excited for the great work that they did this summer. We also have continued with our AIM program. Matter of fact, I think tomorrow is our AIM summer celebration. So that will be virtual, but our robust internship and mentoring experience continued over the summer with our corporate and nonprofit partners, where our students got to experience working in putting the 5 C's into practice at a work-based setting. So exciting to see that great work continue. And last but certainly not least, we also had our Summer Language Academy take place. That was virtual. Many of you attended, I believe, the Summer Language Academy celebration that took place a couple weeks ago. So a lot of great work that was taking place. We brought back our students. It was a great transition for students and staff to be back on campus on a more regular basis. Now, the other thing I want to mention too on this, At the top, you see the AUHSD Summer Programs video. We're not going to show that tonight, but many of you have seen the video, and it's on our website, which highlights what I just spoke about, the great work that was done this summer. Kudos to John and our team who put that video together to really showcase the great work that was done across our campuses this summer. Now, as a reminder, our path to the reopening of our schools, when we say reopening, we're talking about being back in person. Our schools were never closed. We were always open and we're always doing good work, but coming back to this in-person model. As a reminder, in the spring, we continued to be virtual, but as you know, we had a tremendous transition to being back in person with our graduations. So the first time that we really were back as a campus, and it was for our seniors when we brought them back to Handle City for graduations. In that transition, we opened a summer programs, which I just spoke about, where we were back in person for almost all of our programs with the exception of the AIM program, the Summer Language Academy program that I mentioned that was just virtual. We did have some of our ESY programs that were in person and some that remained virtual as well. This late summer, which is really now and into the start of our school year, we've been doing a lot of work in preparing our staff, and I'm going to talk more about that in an upcoming slide. But with eCadence, our learning management system that we're going to be using this fall and ongoing, we've done a lot of training with teachers across the district in prepping for the use of that LMS or learning management system and working with our students. We've also continued to do a lot of work with instructional practices. I know we held the Writing Institute this summer with Mike Switzer and had a number of teachers participate in that to continue their work around writing and student-centered instruction around writing. And then, of course, what we have coming up in the next couple weeks is what I'll talk about as well, this week of welcome. We're going to do some additional training with some of our newer teachers that we've hired with one-time funds. And then, of course, to start the school year in August, we want to make sure that part of what we do is our onboarding and reopening of schools is that all of our staff are up to speed with current protocols, guidelines, also the logistics and the care opening. As you had heard with Christy, you know, when we talk about safety, we also talk about emotional safety and mental safety, and we want to make sure that we really take time to nurture and reconnect with our students and our staff when we do open our schools, and I'll talk more about that shortly as well. But this has been the path that we have been on, and we're super excited about what's to come in the coming weeks when we really prepare for the opening of our schools again with our kids being on campus with our staffs. Now, as a reminder, we will be back full person. So we're looking at the high schools, 6 periods of instruction every day. At the junior high, 7 periods of instruction every day on campus. Of course, for those who have a 0-period class, they'll have 7 periods of instruction potentially at the high school. We're also looking at the safety protocols for our instructional return. As you heard, Christy Bettner talked about the protocols that we had in place. A lot of those still will be in place based on the guidance that we have. We are following the guidance from CDPH, which is the California Department of Public Health. We also have the CDC guidance that we have to follow, and of course the Orange County Healthcare Agency guidance. Dr. Nian is going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit about the updates specifically that we're going to be following as it relates to our coming back to school. And then lastly, you know, students wishing to be virtual, one of the requirements that came out of the state was a requirement to offer a virtual option for families who are not wanting to come back. As you know, we have multiple options for our students. First, we have CVA, our Cambridge Virtual Academy, which students can apply to be a part of. We also have our traditional independent studies programs that students can be a part of, which is at Polaris, or our 2 satellite campuses at Kennedy High School and Catawba High School. So we've met that requirement by offering these options for students who wish to remain virtual in our district in their transition back to school this upcoming school year. The other thing that I want to take a moment to talk about is the way that we're going to be welcoming back our staff. And I think this is what's of critical importance for us as a district, and I know as an Ed division, this is something that we've been putting a lot of time and energy into building for our staff as we return. Oops, sorry. First, we're calling this the care opening. And Victor Rijos, who's an educational guru, an author, a national speaker, he talks about this concept of care opening, that we're not just reopening, we're care opening. And this really puts social emotional learning and compassion and care at the center of what we do. And we recognize that many of our students and even our staff who've been out for over a year learning virtually, there's going to be some trauma and some transition time that needs to take place when we do come back because they haven't been together in quite some time. So it's really taking time to nurture and reconnect relationships, rebuild school culture. As you know, we have a positive behavior intervention support system, PBIS. It's reteaching students how to behave in certain circumstances. So there's a lot of good work that's going to be taking place, especially those first several weeks of school, to really acclimate acclimate our kids back into the school culture and our staff. I know when I first came back to the office after being virtual for quite some time, I noticed that I came home more tired than I normally am. My throat was hurting from just talking more in person than I was when I was at home. So we're going to have to give staff and students that time to really adjust and transition back. We're going to all be out of shape, so to speak. For this care opening, we're going to be starting with work that we're doing with our administrators. We recently had a retreat with a smaller group of administrators through our Gear Up partnership, where we took some time to do some mind work in terms of what this might look like, how we as a district are going to operate moving forward, our vision, and what that looks like in reality, and making it real for our students and our staff as we move forward. Next week, on the 22nd and 23rd of July, we're going to have what we call our Leadership Advance. This is when we as administrators get together to do our own internal retreat in preparing for the opening of school each year. What's going to be exciting about this Leadership Advance is it's going to be the first time that we as managers, as leaders, have been together since March of 2020 in person. So just like we expect our teachers to do with our students, as an ed division, as a district, when we work with our site administrators, we're going to really be focusing on that care opening and what that looks like just to be together and to celebrate our time together. We're going to be looking at the systems and structures that we want to have in place as we begin to move forward this school year. Also, on the August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, as I mentioned, we've hired a lot of new teachers and counselors and social workers in this district as a result of one-time funds. Temporarily, while we have these funds, well, we want to onboard them properly into our district and what we're about, our drivers. So on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, we're doing that week of welcome. For those who've been around for a while, we used to have a week of welcome in our district when we used to traditionally hire lots and lots of folks to be a part of our district. We're going to be bringing them back this year to properly onboard our new hires into the AUHSD family. On the 2nd will be more of an overview of the district with our superintendent, perhaps some board members and some key teacher leaders. On the 3rd, the middle day of the week of welcome, the ed division will be really talking about instructional initiatives, the career preparedness systems framework, the drivers around the 5 C's, etc. And then on the 4th, it will be an onboarding with HR, and our ASTA team will have some time with the teachers, along with some of our other partners and agencies that work with our district. Now, I want to say what I'm really excited about as well is the staff development that we're going to be doing on August 5th, 6th, 9th, and 10th. As you know, when staff return back to work for a school year, typically a site is given 2 days of professional learning with their site teams. This year, with the one-time funds, we were able to work with our different bargaining groups to add 2 additional days of teacher/staff development. But I want to assure you, just like we said with the kids, we don't want to just hit those 4 days hard where we're overwhelming teachers, where before the kids show up, they're already burnt out and tired. Right? We want to do that care opening with them just like we want them to do with our students. So on those 4 days, which I'll be talking about in a moment, but really they're going to be hitting these themes: social and emotional learning, first month of school activities, and what that's going to look like, and of course safety protocols, making sure we're all on the same page as we begin to open this school year. Now, to go more in depth, if you look at the next slide, what we're going to do is, of the 4 days, the schools typically always had those 2 days. Well, 2 days still will remain with the schools. They'll still have those 2 days to do their traditional work that they would do in preparing for the opening of school. But the other 2 days are going to be professional learning experiences that is led by the district, but really led at the site level by mental health experts. I'm really, really proud of the great work that our social workers, our psychologists, and our lead counselors have done in preparing for this onboarding of our staff when we return on these 2 days. They're going to be going through protocols and activities with the staff that are going to really look deeply at care and compassion. And just so you know, on that first day back that we're doing this training with our teams, when we talk about care and compassion, that first day is on self-care. We're not even looking at students in the community that we serve first. First, we're looking at just self-care, how we can take care of ourselves, because you got to take care of the caretaker. And if we're going to get through this year with that enthusiasm, that excitement, but also the instructional initiatives that we have in place, we need to make sure our staff is in a good place to do that. So that first day is on care and compassion, but looking at the self-care. On that second day that we as a district take the lead on, this is going to be where we look at that care and compassion for others and what that looks like with our students, with each other, and with our families. We're also going to be looking at trauma-informed practices, making sure that we have the signs, the symptoms, the things to look for so we can really intervene and help students when there's a great need, or even colleagues if there's a great need. But we're also looking at things proactively. What can we do proactively to avoid some of these things that may trigger students or trigger staff based on the experience they just had this past year? And then lastly, we're also looking at the instructional shifts, making sure that how we teach, not just what we teach, but how we teach, engages students and really connects them to the work that they're learning, the content they're learning. Remember, with the Career Preparedness Systems Framework, it looks at student voice and purpose, right? That education is relevant for them. So that's going to be an important piece in terms of how we shift our instruction or continue to shift our instruction. Then, of course, there's the 5 C's that it's done through an engaging way. And then there's the hard skills, right? The content, the technical skills, the skills that may come out of dual enrollment, or some of the career pathways that we've established across our district. Those are going to be really a focal point in terms of how we approach teaching and learning. And then as we talk about instructional shifts, as I look at student-centered instruction, first and foremost, we need to work with our staff to help students acclimate with each other, right, and getting back into school shape. We're also going to need to make sure that we have a program and process in place to really onboard our students, again, with expected behaviors across the different settings, with the way that they may treat each other in the classroom, because it's been a while since they've done that. So we're going to really need to spend some intentional time rebuilding those habits that we want to see in our students each and every day. Mindfulness. As you know, mindfulness has been a big initiative for our district in really creating that space for both students and staff to really process how they're currently feeling, but to think deeply about their intentions and be okay with their current state. And that mindfulness and meditation is something we're looking to continually embed in our schools and in our classes. I'm proud of how many staff that we've had across our district that have been trained in mindfulness so we can bring these experiences to our students. As you know, we've also trained parents in mindfulness. So it's something we're really proud of and we want to continue, especially in this transition back to school. And then lastly, the CPSF, the Career Preparedness Systems Framework. That's integral into the way that we're shifting instruction as well, that we think about those soft skills in the 5 C's, we think about student voice and student purpose, and then we think about those hard skills and the partnerships we have with our local college community partners, Cypress and Fullerton College, of course, Cal State Fullerton UCI, that we're thinking about those experiences as well as we build our instructional model. I now want to turn it over to Dr. Nyan, who's going to give us an update regarding the California Department of Public Health and what those updates and guidance looks like for us in terms of our rolling back into the school setting.
Right, thank you so much, Dr. Freed. So just this past Monday on July 12th, CDPH gave their new updates regarding masking. And so really the 3 things you're looking at is number 1 is the level of community transmission of COVID-19. The second would be what the vaccination coverage within the community and as well as among students, faculty, and staff. And the third thing that was focused on is any local COVID-19 outbreaks or any increasing trends. So those are the 3 things that CDPH are bring up to make sure to see whatever that happened from the Friday, the July 9th CDC update. So basically what CDC said on July 9th is this: schools, we have a mixed population with people who are vaccinated and not vaccinated. And so basically is what the district needs to do is, together with local public health official, the district, and then consider multiple factors when making decisions about implementing layer protection strategies against COVID-19. So really the layer protection really is talking about masking. And so that's going to be one of the focus today. So the latest CDPH guideline as of this past Monday are these. Masks are optional in outdoors in all K-12 settings. So outdoors only, masks are optional. However, indoors, K-12 students are required to mask indoors with exemptions per CDPH face mask guidance. So so basically the next thing is, so any adults in K-12 school settings are required to mask when sharing indoor spaces with students. So however, there are certain group of students that cannot wear a mask. And so they're exempt from face covering due to a medical condition. They must wear a non-restrictive alternative, such as a face shield with a drape. So that's critical at the bottom, as long as their condition permits it. So really there are some exemptions for certain students. Because of the masking requirement at this point, the physical distancing has now been eliminated based on these mitigation strategies, which is our mask. And so we had initially the 6 feet, it was down to 3 feet, and at this point, there is no distancing requirement at this point. But that's only if masking are required. And CDPH very stressed on the ventilation as well as sanitation measures. So these are 2 things they really heavily focus on. So with that guideline, we are going to translate into what our district, what we are doing, as well as some of our requirements as well.
So these are the measures that we have currently, that we are implementing. Masks are required indoors. So anytime that we're indoors, we are masking. And obviously, this is the reason why the CDPH said these are the factors you have to look into. And at this point, until we know more numbers, this is something that we are implementing in our district.
Anthony, that's district-wide and not just in schools?
District-wide, district-wide.
Thank you.
District-wide. Thank you for the clarification. Ventilations are optimized with air purifiers and filtration change. So in every single classroom, we have the air purifiers. And our team as HVAC technicians, they are constantly changing the filtration system within the HVAC systems. I'm very confident that the team have done a great job to make sure that we have everything. We've been changing them as we speak as well. And then if you walked on our campuses, there are signs everywhere about masking, washing your hands, in restrooms, reminding staff to make sure they sanitize your hands and wash their hands as well. We have hands-free hand sanitizing units. If you can see, they are everywhere on our campuses. We also have washing stations, hand washing stations being placed on all our campuses as well. Custodial staff, they are sanitizing regularly and consistently throughout the day. And so that's very, very critical as we navigate through this. And finally, we are still doing the contact tracer for both the students as well as adults. And those will be important for us as we would notify families or any of the staff if there's any outbreak or even the cases that are coming. And so this is the latest guideline. Obviously, there could be additional requirements coming, but this is as of this past Monday that what we're hearing. And thank you so much, and we are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Does any board member have a question? Anne Marie?
Yes, thank you very much. That was very clear and concise. Jaron, I had a question. Thank you also for talking about the care opening. I think that's an excellent way to start the year. Can you give an illustration of how you've been demonstrating or how you've been trying to get the word out to our leaders, to our principals, and what have you been, telling them? Give us kind of an example of that.
Yeah, so when we actually had a principal meeting this morning with our principals where we spoke a lot about what the opening might look like. They had time to plan and prepare together with the staff. But an example of that care opening would be for that first week of school, as an example. You may not have a lot of the traditional instruction taking place where the students are opening up their books and beginning their deep dive into the content and to the 5 C's. It may be just focused on revisiting classroom procedures. It might be just rebuilding community in the classroom, doing some of those activities, some of those icebreaker activities where you can build community. If you recall, last year when we did our training with teachers, there were 3 pillars, right? Teacher presence, building an online community or building community, and then of course building routines and predictability through the 5 C's. Those 3 pillars are not changing. We're not like, okay, we're back so we don't have to do those anymore. No, those are still critical. And those are going to be the essence of what we're doing when we do come back. It's again, reteaching students how to be students. It's giving staff a chance to reconnect with what it is to be an in-person instructor. So those are all things that we're doing. Right now, in terms of the summer training, we've had now Lexington Junior High and Magnolia High School teachers who are beginning their Capturing Kids' Hearts training, in addition to all the schools that have already been trained. So those are the kinds of things that you're going to want to see and that we're going to want to see when we open up our schools back in person in the fall. It's just spending that time to reconnect, build community. The beautiful thing is for our junior highs, your 7th and 8th graders, they have not spent a day on that campus. Not a day, right? The 8th graders were virtual last year. So you have an incredible opportunity to rebuild the culture that you would want.
I think, if I might interject, I think that one strong example would be restorative practices, restorative circles. The kids are coming out from a very traumatized year, and I think it's very important that they have safe places to talk about their lives, and that's how we build trust, affirmation, and doing so with love. I think the kids, all of us, need love. And I think our staff is prepared to demonstrate that and show that. The entire generation is traumatized. So I think it's really, really going to be important that our kids have safe spaces to make meaning of this.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree. Thank you for that, for starting off the year like that. I don't think this is a normal way to, this isn't normal, so I don't want to go back to normal. I want our students to be in a safe, nurturing environment, as well as our staff. As far as our parents, has there been thought given to how we're going to get that message out to our parents? That, we're going to start off the year with care and in mind, because there are some may, be wondering, why didn't they get homework, the first couple of days? So have we given thought to how we were going to get that message out to our parents?
Yes, as a matter of fact, at today's principal meeting, that was one of the things that was discussed, is all the schools are looking to do kind of a welcome back town hall webinar where they are sharing these very same expectations before they even register.
Okay.
So before registration takes place, some type of communication that's going out, both as a video potentially. They're looking at doing coffee with the principals and regular meetings with the parents, especially before school even starts, to really make sure parents are aware of how we're approaching the opening of our 21-22 school year with this care opening in mind. So a lot of the efforts. The FACES, I believe, return to work tomorrow, the 5th. No, I think today was the first day. Either today or tomorrow, they return back to work. So they're going to be integral in doing that work as well, in the way that they connect and support with families, and make sure they understand that our vision, our drivers, is to really build that empathy and that love for one another, as Superintendent Matsuda said.
Thank you so much. Bravo.
Are there any other? Mr. Jabbar?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for that report. I know I was privileged enough to head to Anaheim High School during the summer session to take a look at, and I just want to mention the signage placed throughout all sites, excellent. I walked through the entire campus with me and another and then our assistant principal,
Vidal?
not Vidal,
Calleros?
Ruben, yes. And he was very gracious enough to walk me through the process. I saw the hands-free hand sanitizing units. I even washed my hands, just checked that it was working. It was great to see that. I was glad to see that there were placed in high trafficked areas, right? And then obviously even in the classrooms, it was very nice to see how students were all masked up. And one of the things, I actually visited about 3 or 4 classes and spoke to students and just asking about how they feel and what they feel like, and every single one of them were like so elated to be back on campus, right? So it was nice to see that, and also our custodial staff. So, which goes back to now my questions about masking requirements. We're asking students to mask up, and do we have enough supplies in case we have students who walk in without a mask, that we could actually hand them a mask?
Yes, we have a lot of supplies, a
Okay.
lot. And thank you for all the, a lot of community members have been donating them to us, so thank you so much to the community for doing that as well, so.
Yeah, and I think I asked you too, there was another
Yeah,
organization
we have,
actually
yeah,
that
we
wanted.
have like thousands and hundreds of thousands of masks. So, and a lot of a lot of individuals like to have their own personalized masks, and so obviously we welcome that. But obviously we will be providing masks on campus as soon as they step in. So they need one.
Right, and I did have another organization which wanted to donate masks. I know that you said that we had enough.
We
so-
have a lot right now, yes.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, though, that everybody willing to make that donation to us. Yes.
Absolutely. And then the other part is in terms of students who are on campus, and even adults for that matter, right? If they don't wear a mask, and if they're providing some kind of justification, you said based on this is that they at least have to wear a face shield?
So with the drape, so they have they have certain ones that has like this, and then it drapes down, so basically to catch all the, the droplets, and so, yes. So, but obviously that would be something we'll work with the families on that.
And then do we have enough supplies of that in case that we have situations like that where we have
So
to
definitely
provide?
we can, if that's needed, then we can absolutely supply that as well.
Okay, well, I am very pleased with the steps that we've taken, and especially going through Anaheim High School. That's one thing that I was very, very happy about, is that we have, even before school starts, we are we're on top of it. So, thank you.
Yes, I want to also thank the staff. I know they're all working really hard, all the plant managers and all the main staff and custodians. They are working really, really hard to make sure that our sites can open successfully for the kids to come back. So I want to take this time and thank them as well.
I just wanted to add one thing, and thank you very much for the report. Just to remember that we've had these golden rule signage up, and I hope that those are still a reality. I know sometimes I'll go into a room and a teacher's taking it down. So it reinforces.
They should still be in the rooms, but we can double check with the principals to make sure they're up in all classrooms.
Any other comments? No? Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, on to item 11. This is items of business. Our first item, 11.1, is resolution number 2021/22-B-01, signature authorization.
So moved.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? A routine, letting them sign away our monies, you know. Okay, this is a roll call vote, starting with Anne Marie Randall Trejo.
I vote aye.
And Brian O'Neill.
Aye.
Al Jabar.
Aye.
And Catherine Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Resolution passes. Okay, 11.2. Resolution number 2021/22-B-02, the authorization of approval of vendor claims and orders.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? No, seeing none. Okay, roll call vote. Mrs. Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay. 11.3, another resolution. This is number 2021/22-E-01, annual certification of course-based independent study for the 2021-22 year.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions, comments?
I just had a question. Are we prepared in case we have to do the requirement of the parent conferences that's still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, we are prepared, and we're actually tomorrow in Ed Division. That's one of the things that's on our agenda to talk about. I think Mr. Carmona is bringing that up, so we will be meeting with Mr. Lara and Ms. Counts in terms of what that looks like.
Because it's
Yeah.
kind of if you don't do it, you get dinged, but if you, but they don't know if it's required. It's
Right.
one of those things.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Both of our our independent study programs have been amazing, especially this past year, but we're very optimistic that we're going to be fully compliant in meeting the needs of the legal requirements that we have for us.
All right, fantastic. I knew, I just had to ask. Had confidence. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote. Mrs. Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, 11.4, resolution number 2021/22-HR-01, observance of Lincoln Day 2022.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions? Comments? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Mrs. Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay. 11.5, consulting agreement, the Ecology Center.
So moved?
Second.
Okay. This is an action item. Do I have a motion?
You
And
had.
a second?
Yes.
Okay. I
know.
had listening here. And I understand we have a couple members from the Ecology Center. Would you like to speak, sir?
Sorry. Thank you for having me, board, trustees, cabinet, Superintendent Matsuda. My name's Jonathan Zeidman. I won't take too much of your time. I work for a nonprofit in San Juan Capistrano called the Ecology Center. We're an educational organization. We have a 28-acre regenerative organic farm that's been growing food for our community, but also engaging community members, distributing food to families in need, and training the next generation of farmers. A few years ago, Two, to be clear, we started a relationship with the Encinitas Union School District, and we took over a dirt lot that they had, 10 acres, and we've transformed that into the first certified organic school farm in the country. We're growing 10,000 pounds of food for their students every year. It's being used as an educational site where all of the students from the 8 elementary schools are rotating through the site and learning, but it's also producing for their central nutrition services and offering this high-quality organic produce that the students all get to dig their hands into the dirt with into their cafeteria lines and their salad bars. It's been a model for success nationwide. They were awarded the USDA Farm to School grant last year. They've won the last 2 years the Green School Alliance Award for their work that they're doing on the site. And we've had schools from Minneapolis Union School District all the way through Florida and Jacksonville come out to that site to learn about what we're doing in partnership with the district. I'll wrap this up, but when we were engaged to see what we can do with Anaheim Union, we got very excited about transforming a dirt lot at Magnolia High School into an educational, productive, community engagement asset for your guys' community. I look around and I see all these values on the schools, you know, and the bio and the medical and the career training opportunities, and I think that there is likewise similar work that can be done around agriculture. And it's not necessarily around the farm itself, but it's about health and wellness, it's about biology, and it's about engaging community. You know, you're so blessed to have a school district that is diverse and has roots in agriculture. And what we'd love to do is to help honor that history that your students and your community brings into this work. So if I can just talk a little bit about that project, it's taking a 2-acre literal dirt lot next door to Magnolia High School and creating a value-added, educational, productive farm that students will get to dig into and be a part of, and again, grows food for the district. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have about this work. I understand that there are multiple community organizations that are enthusiastic about contributing through volunteerism and even through philanthropy. I brought one of our friends, Anthony Beso, who's a business leader, who is interested in supporting work like the work that you guys are doing. And I think that it's viable to not only put your valuable school board or district resources into this work, but very viable to find partners through corporate entities and individual philanthropists that also want to see students focus on health and wellness and entrepreneurship and career training through agriculture. And I'll just wrap real quick with a personal story because it touched me. 7 months ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I've since gone through chemo and surgery and really kind of healed up quite quickly. And you know, the doctors all mentioned to me that it's been a pretty magical recovery, and the speed at which it's occurred has really shocked a lot of them. And really that's come through living into this work and how we eat. You know, and I think so many of us, we think about reactionary measures to health, but we have this opportunity moving into this new world after COVID and thinking about health and wellness to think about preventative measures. And I think it's our responsibility to include that into the educational school day. So thank you for having me, and I really want to commend how hard this last year has been for school districts and how much courage and integrity you've all brought to this work. Like I said, we work very closely with other school districts, and I've seen just how much you've all done to make sure that our students are educated, and I appreciate you all for that.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I would just like to say we commend you, and I want you to know that you have come through a life experience that many people have shared and understand where you're coming from, and I know you will do well. Just hearing you tells me you are on a future well path. Thank you for sharing your story.
I had someone ask me yesterday, well, other than lettuce, what other products are we able to grow in the future here?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So we believe we practice permaculture or ecological design, which is a diversified model of agriculture, which has more value educationally, but also productively. So we'll introduce agroforestry, which really just means productive fruit and nut trees, as well as a wide diversity of nutritious, interesting, and educational cultural crops. So yes, lettuce is important because kids like to, hopefully many of them like to eat salad, but we can introduce carrots, beets, tomatoes. So for Encinitas Union School District, we grow all of their tomatoes that they then take, process, and freeze throughout the year for pizza and pasta sauces. So they have organic pizza and pasta sauce every day on their menu. And these are the types of people we do in partnership with.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just so excited.
Yeah. Wow.
I want to do this now, and I want to expand it like throughout the whole district and even our whole
Yeah.
county. But we have to start at
Yeah.
one school. So I'm really excited and to work with you. And I just wanted to know, did you say how this got started? Was I not paying attention?
The organization or this relationship?
The organization.
So 12 years ago, we came across a dirt lot in San Juan Capistrano and had a vision to transform that into a productive but also educational asset. And that's now we're in the work of replicating that as a nonprofit. So we did it in San Juan, and I welcome you all to visit. It's a little bit of a drive and probably avoid traffic hours, but then we did it in Encinitas, and now we're trying to trial that with Anaheim. And the idea is that absolutely we don't need more mega farms like we see in the Central Valley. We need more community farms, and for people to be able to see where their food comes from. So a 2-acre farm is actually a huge asset, and the minimal investment, in my opinion, that can be put into that will pay off tenfold.
Yeah, very exciting. You're chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
I am. Jonathan, again, thank you. I know you and Evan have made several trips to Magnolia. We're very grateful because, as you've noted, Magnolia is in the middle of a food and health and nutrition desert, which has been exacerbated by the challenges of COVID. And we are, as we're speaking, we have teacher leaders working on curriculum. The students will help define this area as a food desert using a lot of data analytics and census data as well. So, and with our multiple partners, we'll be able to track longitudinal data looking at the health of the community over years. So, again, we're very grateful to you and Evan and your team for the partnership. And yeah, it's a beautiful facility you guys have in San Juan Capistrano, so thank you.
I'd like to see it, yeah. I'd like to see that, but in the meantime, I want to say this. We have made some small attempts throughout the years to get some gardens going at some of our schools, and Magnolia was one of them. But it's difficult, and this is going to be great, though. I mean, because we've had some small farms, we have one at Catella, we had one at Magnolia, we had one at Brookhurst, was it Dale? But I mean, they're small in comparison. This is going to be a much bigger thing, and I'm really excited to see it. I'm a gardener. I mean, so I've got my own community garden plot, and it's just great, and there's a lot of things you can grow besides lettuce. Come on. Broccoli.
I wanted to
Come
hear
on. Spinach,
But the
kale.
other thing, I think she pointed out too, we do have interests across the district. This is going to be an urban
the perfect
laboratory
time. Right.
across the district.
Perfect
Many,
time.
many teachers from other schools are involved with this too.
And if I can bore you for another 30 seconds here, we've consulted on 100 school gardens, and you essentially hand off the playbook, and some succeed and some don't. But what we have seen as the single greatest factor of success in these relationships is deep investment at the administrative level, at the executive level. So if it's tied to curriculum, and if there's budgeting for it, then it will succeed. And
Right.
It might take a little bit of time, but you're going to see great growth.
Right.
And then you'll have a lot of success when you have Anna get in there and get yours.
Thanks a lot.
And
No.
our kids?
Hey, I think it's great. I mean, I've been trying on this, been involved with it over the years, but this is phenomenal. This is really, and I'm just hoping, and I will be around watching and looking, let me tell you.
And our
Pair of
kids,
gloves.
most important, will when they grow something, they're going to want to eat it. They're going to want to learn about it. And they did some pumpkins a couple years ago, and they were really excited, but the kids are going to absolutely love it.
Oh, yeah.
Word's going to get out. Everybody's going to want this. So thank you so much, and thank you for your story, too.
Thank
I'm
you,
actually
yes.
taking a nutrition class right now, and we're in the mineral section. So I can attest to, what you eat is you are what you eat. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up. Yes.
It's exciting.
Okay, I know this is a tough call. I mean, it's going to be a difficult vote, okay? Okay, and this one doesn't have to be roll call. So, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I hear none. Okay.
Yeah.
You betcha. Welcome
Good job.
aboard, Ecology Center. Okay, 1116, Use of facilities agreement, North Orange County Community College District.
11-6.
What did I say?
16, it's 11-6.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So moved.
It's okay. It's
Second?
I had the right numbers, just wrong position. No. I have a motion for.
Yep.
Okay, and I have a second? Okay. Any questions or comments?
I got one real quick.
All right.
So I know that this is a partnership with NOCCD. I want to make sure that our communities in Sycamore and Ball get that information out, because I know that there might be parents and family members who want to make use of the program, so.
Absolutely. Thank you. Will do.
Oh, okay, right. Very good. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, we move on to 11.7. Subscription on Shape.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we're going to have a 2-year subscription. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item 11.8, Agreement, California School Management Consulting, Inc. Action
moved.
item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, moving on to 11.9. Educational Consultant Agreement with Gavin Tierney, Ph.D.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right. Moving on to 11.10, Educational Consultant Agreement with James Lamb.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 11.11, Subscription Proposal, San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools Organization Management System.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 11.12, Subscription Dana Notebook.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? This is another tool
Looks
for
like a
our
great
district
tool.
teachers.
Yes.
All right, seeing, let's call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, seeing none, moving on to another subscription, Theater Folk Limited.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second, another need of our district teachers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none. 11.14. This is the operational agreement with the Orange County Gang Reduction Intervention Partnership, or OC GRIP.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions on this or comments?
Nope.
This is something we've been involved with for a while, and I
Yes.
think it's been successful. We want to continue where it's needed. Okay, and any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, no opposed. Okay, we are to 11.15, school-sponsored student organizations.
So
We
move on
have,
both.
Motion for both
Second on both?
and a second on both. Any questions or comments? Okay, I love this, Future Business Leaders of
Yeah.
America, Cambridge. Okay, seeing no questions or comments, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, moving over to 11.16. We are in Human Resources. This is an agreement for Hope International University.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Is this where the Portland State, or is that in the, oh,
No, this
okay, I'll
is-
ask that on the next one.
That's the next one.
Excuse
This is-
me.
Yeah, this is for student teaching opportunities.
I do want to make a comment that I have been on campuses when student teachers are at the podium and they are dressed in jeans. They look like they're out for a hike. And I think that our student teachers and the master teachers need to let these young people know how you attire yourself when you come onto a campus. So that's a continuum. It needs
Right,
to.
and it is part of this, that, professional attire is part of it, and it just, of course, resorts to the individual master teacher and the administration on that campus to say something. And I know a lot of times people are kind of hesitant to say anything, because in our society, jeans are very acceptable, but at the same time, when you're standing in front of 30-some kids, and, you need to be a little bit cut above the norm, in other words. So I totally agree with that.
You shouldn't look like a student standing there.
Exactly, and I know I'm old-fashioned, but I'll tell you, the last years of my teaching, watching some of the newer teachers come, I'm going, the way they decided to dress was just not exactly copacetic.
It's not acceptable.
So let's hope our administrators and our master teachers start making comments to the student teachers so that they do come a little bit better attired. Okay, any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. And 11.17 is the agreement with Portland State University.
So moved.
moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is for preparation for student teaching.
Where is Portland State located?
I am not sure. I mean, I don't know, if they're probably based in Portland and probably have a satellite campus is what I'm imagining.
Portland, Oregon?
Yes. Yes.
And they're coming here to student teach? That just seems strange. Don't usually student teach in the state where you're going to college?
Not necessarily.
Well, not necessarily.
Not anymore.
Well, this is a new one for me.
No, we've had a lot of these where they're from different colleges out of state. And what happens is the kids that originally are from this area go to college there, and then they want to come home and do their student teaching here. And as long as the school districts will agree to that, then they do it. Then they'll do their student teaching here, because this is where they want to, let's say, live and find a job.
So we'll learn how Portland State teaches in education, so.
To some degree, yes. Okay. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, seeing none. 11.18. Salary increase for the Executive Director of Greater Anaheim Special Ed Local Plan Area, or
So moved.
GSELPA.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on. We are now to the consent calendar, item 12. Do I have anyone requesting to pull any items?
Yeah, 12.12, please.
12.12,
12.15, 12.26, and 12.27.
12.15, 12.26, and 12.27.
7.
Move for the balance.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll go to 12.12.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And abstain?
Aye.
Okay. Item 12.15.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I asked this question about the difference between this program and the Orange County Human Relations Program, so if you could kind of elaborate on that so that people know what type of program it is and why it's.
Yeah, they're both equally important, and we are fortunate that we had a meeting with both our partners at Orange County Human Relations and the Restorative Justice the Center of Racial Justice in Education. And there is some overlap, but they're also doing some different things with our campuses. We were brought the Racial Center, or the Center for Racial Justice in Education by UCR, our collaborative partners. They had recommended some work, and we got a grant where they're actually covering half of the costs. We cover the other half. With Orange County Relations, we're doing deeper work with implicit bias and restorative circle training that Mr. Matsuda referenced earlier. With the Center for Racial Justice in Education, they're going to be doing a lot of deeper dives in racism and systems, what that looks like, specifically with Catella and Cypress. So it's not going to be connected to the same thing that Orange County Human Relations is doing, although there's, of course, overlap with implicit bias, it's different. And we met with their team, and they're just a phenomenal team who does a lot of deep work, especially within schools and what that might look like. So that's where that partnership is going to grow, and that is going to require multiple meetings with that center and our site teams as they grow and build their capacity in that area and spread out the different techniques and strategies that are accompanied with that.
I have a question. These expanded learning opportunity grant funds, do they come from federal, state funds?
So, yeah, that one, that's part of the AB 86, and that one comes from the state.
From the state, not federal?
No, not, yes, that one comes from the state.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 12.26.
We can actually take both 26 and 27
Can I take them together?
together.
And 27.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second.
Yeah, I just pulled these two items just to kind of elaborate on, to give an update on, have we made any progress with Fullerton College and moving forward with that, with the dual credit programs?
Yes, we have, and I appreciate you asking, Trustee Jabbar. You know, in full transparency, as we've had with the board, Cypress, there's been some inequities between what we've gotten from Cypress College and Fullerton College over the years, and we have had very frank and direct conversations with Fullerton College that we need to close those gaps because of the kids at all of our schools deserve these same quality experiences and access to these dual enrollment courses. As you may or may not know, President Greg Schultz, who's been great, he just left to take another job at Citrus, right? Right now, Gil Contreras has been serving as the acting president, and I know Mr. Colon and Ms. Bean have been working closely with him and his team, and have actually had some positive momentum with the team. Are we where we need to be yet? No. However, we are making positive traction in that area, and then we're waiting on August 1st for Fullerton College or the North Orange County District to name the interim president at Fullerton College, where a meeting will be set up with that interim president, which may be Mr. Contreras or maybe someone else, to further discuss this work. Mike, did you want to say something?
Yeah, but just for the record, Mr. Jabbar, we have put some pressure on Fullerton College by shifting a couple of schools that used to be part of Fullerton College. That would be Magnolia and Savannah. So that has really, I think, sent a message to them that we mean business. And hopefully Dr. Contreras, I think they did get that message, and we hope to see some changes.
Yeah, and I bring this up over and over again because it's a concern for students who actually go to Anaheim High
Correct.
School, right? Because for them, the easy access is Fullerton College, and if we're not benefiting, then we do need to put that pressure. I did, for all transparency purposes, I did have a conversation with one of the board members. They're interested to know because obviously I don't think it percolates up to the board members level, but board member to board member, I've had that conversation. So I would encourage the superintendent to reach out to, I'll introduce you to one of the board members who have had the conversation. He's very much interested in knowing how to mitigate the problem. So hopefully we could work on that.
Yeah, and we have had those conversations where, as Superintendent Matsuda said, we have, I don't want to use the word threatened because that's not the intent, but we have said that if this doesn't improve, we are going to pull, which we've done Magnolia and Savannah. As you know, like you just said, the students who live at Anaheim, Catella, Luera, Fullerton College has the easier access. That's where they live. So it's in our best interest to try to nurture that relationship because it gives our kids that access.
Too, because some of those students, if they don't go there, they're going to Santa Ana College.
Correct.
So.
Right. Dr. Contreras is aware, and he's been making some movement with his team, and in working with Amanda Bean and their team, we feel like we're making good headways. But they know that in the back of their head, if we're not satisfied by late winter of next year, that we'll make some decisions to maybe look at Cypress College for other schools.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just surprising that the two colleges, I mean, they're so different, in other words, in how they're accepting and working with, the agreement. It's still part of North Orange County Community College District,
But they're independent. As you know, I spent 9 years on that board, and each campus is autonomous of the other. And it's a challenging, this is very challenging work, and it both on our side and as well as their side too, because you have to work with their infrastructure and I think it's going to happen, because they're losing enrollment, and that's really, that's what talks.
Yeah, right. But it's interesting, so, okay. Any other questions or
On a
comments?
positive note, a number of our students are taking advantage of the pledge, and they're putting it on social media, and they're very excited for their students to start this year, so.
Oh, good.
Positive note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
All
any
in
other
favor?
comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 13, superintendent and staff report.
No report from me.
The only report is I will be sending you an update on the leadership advance once we have those details finalized, so you'll know if it's going to be at Oxford or if it's going to be the feeder pattern
Okay.
that we talked about. So just stay on the lookout for that update.
Okay?
No report.
No report. Oh, my, okay. Then we're moving on to 14.
Long one, though.
Oh, I missed one. Wrong side. Okay. No report, Manuel? Okay. So moving on to the board report. Mrs. Trejo.
Okay, I just want to sing the praises of the summer VAPA Academy. It was a wonderful kind of reunion for a lot of us to get out and see each other in person, and the teachers in that short amount of time taught those students, I don't know, how many were there? There were about 6 or 7 Broadway shows that they took little synopsis and little scenes from. The orchestra played throughout. It was just an amazing night, and I just want to commend everyone who put that together, especially the students. They were so excited, and they were so talented. And there's some actors in that crowd. There were some that just every part that they were, every ensemble that they were in, you could just see them, and they stood out. So, but it was a great opportunity for our kids to get together from all different sites, and boy, they showed their talents. And just want to give a great shout out to everyone involved. It was a great night. I attended the Zoom call of the Orange County Department of Ed. They get the capital advisors to come and give a budget analysis. While things are looking good, there's still some things that questions that need to be addressed. But I think the forecast looks good for this year on the budget scene. And then attended the ROP meeting along with my colleague Al Jabbar, and Dr. Lichia Hallstrom, who is their new administrator there, was very excited to come up and talk to Al and I about the trailer that they have at Trident now on the Gilbert campus with their Healthy Smiles. She used to be the director of Healthy Smiles, so she's very excited to have brought that there. And I asked her, can you give me some numbers of how many people have been treated? She said there's so many adults that have come where they would never have gotten dental treatment there before. A lot of adults are coming to get treatment. And so far, there have been 359 patients seen since their soft opening, since the soft opening in middle of April. So isn't that amazing? Good. Amazing. And she wants to expand, and speaking of partnerships with ROP, she wants to expand that trailer and the programs that are going to be provided for our students over there. So she said she's got a lot of plans. So I'm excited that Jose Lara and she are going to collaborate and do some great things. So that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. O'Neill.
I haven't been around much to be able to do anything,
Yeah,
but
just hopping around
I
the
know
United States here.
it's terrible. It's terrible.
Life's rough.
So it's nothing having to do with future, but I have a couple of questions, so I'll use my time for the couple of questions. We had talked about life skills for people for students in classes. I'd like to get, what is the economics curriculum? Or if it's just a book?
Financial literacy?
Yeah, what's in the book? Maybe get a copy of the book so I can take a look at that. I'd like to see that.
EST program.
And we've talked about, in the past, we have done some school mapping. Where are we? Maybe you can put it in the Friday report and let us know what school mapping is in the process. Pardon me, school mapping was in the security.
Oh, David
Yeah.
Sobel's thing.
Yeah,
So we're-
David
an
Sobel,
update on
yeah,
that.
I'm sorry. And then we used to have the school board representative go to all CSBA conferences, whether it's San Diego, San Francisco, or wherever. I'd like to get that back into current process, since,
I think it's,
no, that was for student board member to go.
oh, student board member,
Yeah, that is in here for us, but I think we need to include the student board member in having them the
Yeah.
opportunity to go to the,
That's great, that would be great.
to that.
Student board member.
They can learn a lot.
On the CSBA thing. so
Yeah.
Get that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And since we haven't had schools in session for a while, are we going to be pushing the PLCs, the Parent Leadership Academy, PLA, Parent Leadership Academies?
Yes.
Getting those going?
Yeah.
Full
We were
steam
doing them
ahead?
even virtually, so they didn't go away, but we are looking to bring them back, and I know there's already modules that are being worked on as we speak.
Bigger and better. I mean, it's coming back.
Yeah, I've been to some graduations, and it's sort of, I miss those, so
Yeah.
looking forward. And it's so important for
Yes.
these parents. Good, thank you.
That's it? Okay, Mr. Javar.
all right. So I think I mentioned it. I actually had the pleasure to visit Anaheim High School to take a look at and walk into some classes. Love hearing some of the discussions in the classroom and to see how interactive they were. So I was pleased to see that there were students who really didn't have to be in summer class, but they did come to summer class, so that was awesome to see. Obviously, our Summer Language Academy, I was part of that celebration. I love that program, and was honored to be there to say a few words. The Visual Arts Academy and the presentation and the performance that they had, it was awesome. I think we had a lot of community members participate, and I know a couple of them are in the audience, and they really enjoyed the whole entire showcase. And what really struck me is that Sharon King mentioned that some of the students who actually played instruments and who performed have not been in a classroom or not even picked up an instrument, but just 2 weeks they were there doing that. So it was awesome to see that. And that also speaks to our teacher skills. So I wanted to commend them. The AIM program, very, very good. I mentioned that we had 2 interns. I know we're going to miss them. We just signed thank you cards for them and gave them certificates today from our office, but I know they'll be there tomorrow. Both of them were very eager to learn, and one of them actually wants to come back to set up a meeting with one of our folks to talk about health equity. So they were exposed to a lot of policy-making sessions. They were exposed to, actually just yesterday, both of them attended one of our main policy equity map unveiling of it, and they actually got firsthand to look at how we could use maps to influence policies. So I was so glad to see our students getting that experience at county level at least.
That is great.
Yep, and did attend the ROP meeting, and then I'll end this by basically asking our teams, I know I'm meeting with Carlos on Monday, but let's make vaccination a priority again, because we do have certain, and I know repeating to some of you here, but I want to make sure that the public knows that we do have a lot of census tracts that still need to be vaccinated. So we need to make those a priority and make sure that we partner with whoever we need to, because the Orange County Healthcare Agency is partnering, but then there are other organizations also partnering to do this effort. So we want to bring all of them together. And I also want our district to take a look at maybe giving opportunities to some of our clubs and organizations, because the healthcare agency does have a program where if you do host a vaccine clinic and you bring a certain number of people, you will be able to use it as a fundraising opportunity for the organization. And I know one of the organizations has reached out to me, and I'm going to be talking to Carlos about it too. But I think our campuses, that's one thing that I pushed, is to make sure that our campuses get an opportunity. If there are organizations which are probably tapped for money right now, if they can do like a booster, bring people who are not being vaccinated and show up a clinic, the organization could make some money. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Smith?
I see our next board meeting is August 12th, which is Thursday, and school starts on the 11th, the day before on Wednesday. So that should be an interesting board meeting. And the only sadness that I think is that kids can't go back and hug each other. Maybe they can.
Some
but
will.
I hope they will.
Some will.
And I just send virtual hugs to all of you. This has been a devastating year. For Paulina and Connie, they work so hard, and they don't get enough credit. So anyway, I'm glad we're all back and doing well.
Good, all right. Okay.
Don't forget John.
Okay. He's still there, okay. I did a few things. I went to a sister city meeting, and we're still moving along here, and still not decided with the city how they're going to rearrange the sister city commission, but in the meantime, we're still limping along doing what we have, and we are looking into a virtual exchange right now because of the uncertainty with Japan, they're coming here or us going there. It's just been still too uncertain. So they're trying to establish an actual virtual exchange between between students and students there. So we'll see how that's working so far. Then I attended a breakfast club with Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara, and it was interesting. And then I did I watched an interview with Senator Padilla on the Orange County Forum. These Zoom meetings, and I attended the Summer Language Academy, and then I did the California Department of Education's Budget Perspectives webinar. I learned some interesting things on that one. I started to kind of tune out a little when we kept talking about the TK, but that wasn't pertinent for me, but still very interesting. There have been a number of Zoom meetings and webinars that I've tried to attend, and I unfortunately can't always, and I am so bummed that I missed the arts thing. But I've been really busy lately, and I've been caught up in a lot of different things, so I did miss that, and I'm bummed, but maybe next time. So.
But Anna, the TKers are going to be future.
I know. I'm not saying anything against them. I'm just saying that, I didn't need to know when, they can start here and keep going, But hey, I have had 2 of my grandchildren in TK. That's a big thing. That helps, let me tell you.
It does.
And I wanted to say, this is something else. We've got, I've had questions, already from the community about masks. Are we going to be wearing masks? And what are they going to do if the kid doesn't wear a mask? I said, well, they changed their mind on that. When they first came out and said we had to escort them off campus, and it was like, who's going to do that? That was the question I got asked. And it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe the administration gets to do that, But thank goodness they came out and said, it would be up to the local schools how we handle it. So instead of telling us we have to do something. But we do have to mask, and I will say this, yes, for some of these parents who are going to complain, oh, my kid can't be wearing a mask all day. Hey, they can. Kids are adaptable. Let me tell you, I watched my kindergartner all last year wear a mask all day long for school. My kinder and my 5th grader. And my 4th grader and my 3rd grader. They all wore masks all day long. And I would go pick up one of them, and they'd forget they had their mask on. So they get used to it. It's us older ones who find it a little bit more difficult to adapt, but they do fine. And the kids will do fine. So the only thing I have to say is happy birthday to 2 of our board members. Mr. O'Neill's birthday was yesterday. And Mrs. Trejo is today. Happy birthday. She gets to spend her birthday on a meeting like me. How about that? There you go.
I should get paid double, right?
Oh, yeah, I never thought about
Yeah,
that.
just
That's not a bad idea.
Check next
Check
time.
my
Okay.
check.
All right, our next meeting then will be
August 12th.
August 12th, the day after school starts. Okay, then item 15.2. Do I have any suggested agenda items? All right, seeing none, how about an adjournment, a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All right, I have a
Early.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we adjourn at 7:26. What a record.